Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Of course, these are unscripted. I don't have a script written like I do for the other ones. Trust me, I got another big one I'm working on right now. But in the meantime, we're going to be talking about the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Believe it or not, this movie is actually the second book in the series. C.S. Lewis, I believe he wrote a certain amount of books, and the first one is mainly just the lore of it, the history, and it goes over a certain time span of hundreds of years between the Lion, which is Aslan, the White Witch, and then the Silver Chair. I haven't read that book since I was so little, so that's why I can't go into so much detail about it. Now, when I watch a movie based off a book, I try not to analyze them too closely together, because any book that gets turned into a movie, there's going to be a drastic amount of changes. One example is Harry Potter. You cannot fit 500 pages of story from like the Goblet of Fire into an hour and a half to 2 hour movie. You're going to be missing a lot of stuff, as it shows if you've seen the movie before. Now, with The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, the book is a whole lot shorter. It's so short that they actually had to expand upon it into the movie. Like when you read the battle, like the battle with the White Witch and her army, and then Peter and his army, it's actually only like a few pages long, and it's quite sad. Whereas in a movie, it's like a whole 15 minutes, which is amazing. Well, before I get into that, the story is pretty simple if you haven't watched The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe before. Let me read the back. We have Lucy, Edmund, Susan, and Peter, 4 siblings who step into a magical wardrobe, find this land of Narnia, which is a once peaceful kingdom but has been plunged by an eternal winter by this woman called the White Witch, Jadis. And then Aslan, which is the lion, aids them into a climactic battle in order to gain peace over Narnia. And we have like magical beasts and all that kind of stuff. This is a fantasy movie. Now at the time, this came out in 2004, and by God, it does show. I mean, effects from the early 2000s, and we're talking Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, and any other movies you can possibly think of. The CGI, you tend to see it more now than you did back then. I mean, they still hold up, but you can see them a lot more. They're not as impressive as when you watched them from 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago. But at least they're better than the early 90s CGI movies. Those are just, they look like PlayStation 2 graphics. And I'm sure you could think of quite a few. Oh, sorry. I wasn't going to list one, that'd be bad, especially if you guys like that movie. Don't worry, I'll review some bad movies. But this one I wanted to really dive into, because the Chronicles of Narnia, this is a movie that my dad and I watched. And him and I have read all these books together, and it's great. So what's so great about the Chronicles of Narnia? I watched it as a kid, I loved it. I wasn't sure I was going to love it the same way watching it as an adult. And I was right, I don't. I love it in a completely different way, because the way I love it now is through a filmmaker's perspective. The way the camera constantly moves like it's on a smooth crane throughout the entire movie, it's phenomenal. It pulls you into this world. And I think they shot it in Norway, and the scenery is gorgeous. Like, you could have a wedding up there, it's so beautiful. And I'm sure a lot of people have. You go from the white winter woods to this river, and then you go into like the grassy fields, and there's a lot of good shots of scenery there. The director of photography really did an amazing job with this one. And there was one thing I thought I was for sure going to notice as a nitpick, but it was me just more like looking and wanting a nitpick. There's a scene where Lucy has her hand on like this lantern post, like this pole. And if they messed up that shot and she had her fingerprints on the snow, and as she removes her hand, you can see the prints onto the lamppost. If they messed up that shot and had to keep redoing it, the continuity would have been off. But even that was good. I mean, I shouldn't have expected more or less from a Disney film, because, oh man, they did a really good job with it. Now, there are some graphic scenes if you're a parent watching this review of mine and you're trying to gain more information before buying the DVD or Blu-ray. I don't blame you. I wouldn't show this to a toddler, not a 2, 3, 4, or maybe even a 5-year-old. 6 and above, depending on the child. There are some graphic imagery to where, I mean, it's not really graphic for you and I, but for a small child it will be, where Aslan the lion, which just kind of goes into spoilers, he gets pulled onto the stone table and the White Witch is over him, and it's very unpleasant for a small child. It's like the darkest scene in the whole movie. I don't think little kids would enjoy it. I watched this movie when I was 11 years old and I was fine, obviously, but for a 2, 3, or 4-year-old, no. That's why it's rated PG and not rated G like Shrek or Toy Story. There are some scenes where the child's gonna have to learn to cope with death. Death happens in this movie, not like Lord of the Rings, no, it's more of a child version of that one, of course, but the lore is so good. I would show it to a kid. Just keep in mind on the age of the kid is who I'd show it to, and depending on their maturity and how they've been aging and whatnot, and where they are at. So give it a watch. For as non-spoilers go, I'm not gonna give a review. I'm not gonna give you a rating quite yet. I really have to dive into it more before I give a rating, because there's just so much to it. But it's good. I'd recommend it. That's all you really need to know, honestly. Now, let me jump into spoilers. If you haven't seen the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, that's okay. It doesn't go as dark as the sequel Prince Caspian does. Oh no, that one goes to all the places that I wanted this one to go in the first one. It's not a perfect movie. This one is more of, not so much of a guilty pleasure, but kind of on the fence line with it. You watch it, there's some stuff to make you go, oh, well, I'm a grown man watching this movie, but I still love it, of course. And then there are parts going, yeah, this is awesome. And you're, oh yeah. For me, what really made me enjoy this film is the scenery, the shots, and the angles. Now, of course, I'm going into spoilers, but in this great battle, you have 2 armies, and there is a really big build-up, whereas in like the Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King movies, they just go at it. There's not so much of a build-up because there's so many wars in those Lord of the Rings movies. Whereas here you just have one war. So of course they're going to build it up more. Some of the effects, like I mentioned before, they're not as strong, but what really sells it is the angles and the music. And one shot that I found to be one of the most amazing shots that I've seen in this movie was where we have Peter, Edmund, and I forget the centaur's name, but he's on their side, and like, okay, we'll follow your orders, what do we do? After Aslan was killed on the stone table. The camera goes down into the map, and then the map turns into like drawings, and afterwards it transitions into the field. So it's like you're flying into the map, and then you're into the field of battle. And then you see the army as they're standing over the grassy plains. Damn! That is just as impressive as that one shot in Valkyrie, where the planes are dropping bombs, and the camera is hanging up high, and it's turning over a record player. And the record's spinning, and the camera is spinning just as fast, if not faster, to where the Valkyrie text on the record is showing in perfect position with the camera. My God. It's hard to find creative camera angles that bring you into that world as Narnia did. And this came out in 2004. I think Valkyrie was 2011 or 12, I forget. It had Tom Cruise in it. And that's a good war movie, of course, with some good action and a great director. But we're not really getting into that one right now. But it's shots like that is what really makes me love the art. Damn! I mean, it's so good. I am talking about it right now in front of this camera, telling you how good it is. And the most I can show you is a couple pictures because, you know, copyright. But you have to watch it. If you're not going to watch the movie, watch it for that shot alone if you're a filmmaker. Because damn. Filming school tells you all about Citizen Kane, but this is a good shot to learn from too. How do you bring people into your work like that? Damn. Okay. Oh, I ranted a little bit there. So, onto more of the story. The story is very good. Like I said, it's based on books. And so we've built up these two wars, these two armies, and they go into this war. And the Blu-ray version doesn't have the extended war scene. And to be honest, there really isn't much to be extended. There's like an extra 30 seconds of Peter throwing a javelin up at some sort of bat-like creature. And that's it. So there's not really any extended scenes that the 4 disc set really brought to the table. It's not like Lord of the Rings where there's an extra 30 minutes to watch, or an hour. And I'm talking about the original trilogy, of course. So it's not like that, so you don't go worried you need to buy the $10 4 disc set that you can buy off Amazon or eBay now, or wherever. Buying the Blu-ray for $10 gives you a bunch of bonus features and stuff too. And there's just the greatest content. Don't worry about the extended version, there's really not much to it. So that is pretty much a disappointment. But the movie is good. The story is strong. The music has choir, and the orchestra is phenomenal. Now, as you're listening to it carefully and watching it from a filmmaker's perspective, they do repeat the same songs. Well, not the same song. Oh, actually, they repeat a few songs, actually. I'm thinking more of The Great Battle, though. They repeat a few songs throughout, and some have choir, others have just the instrumental, and it's more to elicit that emotional response, and it's good. Now, I know I'm not really talking too much about the story, because I really want you guys to go watch it yourself. What I would do differently of this movie? Not really anything. Now, to be honest, I haven't watched the old version of the Chronicles of Narnia. There is a couple of movies, at least to my knowledge, before this one, before Disney grabbed it and put God knows how much money into it, millions of dollars, and really made it to a great, phenomenal masterpiece, in my opinion. I would have liked it to go darker, of course. I really loved it if they bumped it to the PG-13 rating, and they went all out with the scene where they killed Aslan over that stone table. That would have been cooler. Like, you gotta see more graphic imagery, really hit the audience over the head with it, kind of like Dead Man with Johnny Depp. We don't get to see that. I would like to see more training with Peter, Edmund, Susan, and Lucy, of course. Like, they barely trained at all. It's like, oh, we're about to go practice, and boom, oh, the White Witch demands an audience. So they barely trained at all. And then you get into the war, and somehow they're surviving with little consequence. They don't get hurt too much. Yeah, I would have liked to see more of that kind of stuff if I had to nitpick it to death. But overall, it's a really good movie. Now, I've had people message me, well, how can you give it movies A, B, C, D, E, or F ratings? And for once, I'm going to explain to you why I give the ratings the way I do. A is completely flawless. There's nothing I could find wrong with the movie. And for me, I never see a movie as perfect, so the highest I'll go is like A-, right? Which means you're near perfect, everything's on point. I can't find a damn thing wrong with it other than little points of nitpicking that I can. Like, oh, well, this effect doesn't work. Or, oh, there's the camera guy in the background. Oh, there's a camera guy in that shot. Oh, you forgot the continuity there. Like, they're hardly there. B's, I get B's if the movie is really good, but does have some flaws. But you can overlook those flaws and overall enjoy it. I haven't reviewed any movies I'd give it a C yet. Those are guilty pleasures completely. Like Hocus Pocus from Disney. That's a guilty pleasure. That movie's good and fun to watch, but still a C. There's a lot wrong with it, but it's so enjoyable to watch. D's is where it feels like they haven't tried it all. D's I would give to a movie if it sucked. The music doesn't fit the mood. The actors aren't even trying. There's no emotion. I'm bored halfway through it. I'm about to fall asleep. The story makes no goddamn sense. The twist ending pisses me off. Those are movies I'd give a D to. And F's if it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's so bad I can't believe it exists. Bad. That is the rating system I'm going off of now. I might build onto it more, and then maybe I'll go to numbers instead. I don't care for star ratings. I'd rather give it letter grades because that's the grades we get as we advance ourselves in education. The Chronicles of Narnia, to me, it's a damn good movie. I like it a lot. I'd give it a B. I like to see more with it, but a B is strong. If you can do a B, you're good. You're up there. I recommend this movie to just about anyone. It might not be your cup of tea. It's a fantasy movie. You have to let your imagination soar and let yourself dive into this world of Narnia. Now, the things I nitpicked with this one, they fix it in the next one and do it really, really, really good. Now, I plan on reviewing that one next, so if you stay tuned, I'll be reviewing Prince Caspian in my next movie review, so I don't draw this one out to like 40, 50 minutes. But hey, watch it. It's really good. Show it to your kids, depending on them, of course, and depending if you believe they can handle it. If you don't have kids, hey, that's fine. If you're a grown man like me who loves film, this is one you can really dive into. My dad and I really bonded over fishing and reading books like Sherlock Holmes, Narnia, and watching movies like this. You can buy this on Amazon for like $10, $14, depending where you're looking. It's cheap, not very expensive, and it's a really good watch. I think it's even on Amazon Video and YouTube if you want to watch it there as well. And yeah, so Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe gets a B. I don't want to dive too much into it because there's just so much to talk about. If you'd like to see a follow-up video where I do talk way more about it, I can. For right now, I'm not doing follow-up videos for the unscripted reviews that I do here on this channel. Now, that being said, have a great day, guys, and I'll see you when we start talking about Prince Caspian. And oh damn, did they improve a lot with that one. Because you don't get to see a lot of screen time with, I mean, not so much screen time, but see the four siblings in action. Whereas in the next one, oh yeah, they up the ante, and that's what we like to see in sequels. Unless we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean. That movie does not age as well. The first one's good, the 2 or 3 is debatable. Doesn't age as well as you watch it when you're older. But they're still good. I'll talk about those another time. With that being said, have a great day and see you later.